All right, going back to assignment 5. I have a stage file and now an assets 2 file, and that's because I zoomed in. And so I want to open both of those up. And just because we're coming back from a weekend, once I open up that stage file, which is a PSD, so all I should need to do is double click it. I already have the timeline outputted, right? I have a default timing of 0.3 seconds. I have it playing through forever. This is how it looks. And let's say that that's all I want. I'm happy with that. How do I actually save that as a graphic interchange format? As a GIF file. So this is how. I go to File, and I go to Export. And this is tricky because this is changed in Photoshop for many versions. And then I go to Save for Web, and it has legacy in parentheses because this is an old technology. GIFs are one of the oldest types of digital images. But the reason we use them still is because they can be easily played back on any online format because it's just simple coding. But it is old school. So you'll get, when you're in the Save for Web, which is under Export and Save for Web Legacy, you'll get this screen, which gives you your GIF options. So you want to save it as a GIF. And basically all the default options are pretty much what you want. Selective color. GIF limits its size by only allowing 256 colors. But you can pick the colors. So these are the ones for this whole animation that the computer has selected. I can zoom out here so I can see my whole image, and then I can play it through as a preview. And the only way it's going to be different than my Photoshop full resolution is you're going to see how grainy it looks. And that's because it's just made up of 256 colors.
Do we delete the background slide?
You will, yes, before you output it. So before you save as a GIF and export it, you want to make sure that your timeline plays through exactly as you want. And you don't delete, you just drag it to the trash. Because if you hit delete on the background slide, it will delete the layer. All right, so once it's playing through and it looks good, all of these settings work well. Selective, diffusion, 256 colors, no transparency dither, checked on transparency. Bicubic smoother is a setting I like. That helps it run a little bit. Then you just hit save. And I'm not even going to change the name, right? Because it's going to save as a GIF file, not a PSD file. But I want to save it to the desktop. So then I hit save, it saves to the desktop. It's a whole lot smaller than my Photoshop file because it's limited to 256 colors. And it's only 8 inches by 8 inches by 150 pixels per inch, which is great for screen resolution. So this file is only 11 megabytes. Now, how do I test it? If I just double click it, it will open in preview and it will show me each image, right? But it won't animate automatically. But you can see how the quality of the image is a little less. You see how it's kind of grainy and broken up? That's the GIF. Okay, so instead to test it, you just have to open it within a web browser. So if I open it within Chrome, it will just start playing within Chrome. As quickly as that. Now, sometimes you want to actually output a GIF to test your animation because sometimes your timing doesn't quite look like what it looks like in Photoshop, especially if you're working at high resolution, you have a lot of things going on. It will appear slower in Photoshop than it really is. But mine doesn't seem to have that problem. The lag is about the same. Okay, now what's wrong with this as a GIF animation? Let's think of the parameters of the assignment. Does it show something that I've designed before in class? Yes, absolutely. Does it show a transformation? The snow melts, right? And the sun comes up, so the environment changes, if not the character. Now, there is nothing wrong with this assignment-wise. This could be a finished assignment. But to make it a more engaging GIF, and I'm trying to do this in my storyboard, I want to set it to reset so it doesn't do that jump cut at the end, right? So I want it to feel like a continuous loop. So that's what I'm going to work on to finish off my animation, and that's just to make it more satisfying. But this does meet the criteria of the assignment. And so if I wanted to submit this as my GIF, I just upload this to PhotoBucket, and then I will show you a little bit later on how you make a clean storyboard of this. But you can't make your clean storyboard until you're finished with your animation. All right. So some of you are already at that point, so you can start playing with that. Now, because I want to keep adding on to my frames here, I need to select all of my frames and drag them down to the trash because I'm going to be adding layers. Right? So this is the last frame I had. Now I go back to my assets that are zoomed in, and I want to build the next frame. So I want to melt even more and start to make him sink. Right? So I think because I'm so zoomed in, I'm actually going to play with wavering this texture overlay a little bit. And I want to start playing with these different elements. And because this is assets 2, I can go ahead and combine some of these elements. Right? So it's easier to make them work. And so what am I going to do? I am just going to start taking the opacity down on this combined glacier element. It's going to reveal my character slowly. My character here, I'm going to move his head. And I'm going to move the whole character's torso a little bit now that it's seen, just to kind of show that he's breathing a little bit and shuffling. I might move the ruffles a little bit. I'm just jiggling him. Might move the tail a little bit because he's going to start to slide off. So see how he changes there. I'm even going to move the timeline off to the side just because I want to be able to see everything clearly. All right. Does the ice look like it goes down dramatically? Maybe not quite enough. So as well as playing with its opacity, I might just puppet warp it. Now it's a bigger chunk. I anchor it on the bottom, and I start to tug away at the top. Maybe if I do that, I don't even need to play with its opacity so much. It's already got a soft edge. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, I don't need to worry about stars anymore. I could play with the sun and how strongly it's beating down, like that, with opacity. And now I'm good. I've got another layer. I hold down Option. I say Layer, Merge Visible. I select all. I copy. I paste to my frames. Then I deselect, Command D. I delete that merged layer, and I play with these factors again. And I play with the glacier. And as long as it's low res, Puppet Warp works pretty fast. It is a pain. You have to keep setting these anchors. But that's how you get kind of the believable movement. All right. Let's get the sun to pulse a little bit. It's like he's in a microwave. It's very nice. All right. And now let's move his head. He's going row. And then his everything except his tail, or with his tail, everything except his chest, I can move down a little. Yep, that will work. And I was talking about adding an eyelid or a mouth, but he's still pretty far away. I don't think that's going to be worth. It would be too hard to make that a focal point with all this other stuff going on. So I'm just using the body language. So I hold down Option, I say Layer, Merge Visible, select all, copy, move to the stage. And I'm going to keep going until he disappears. Deselect, delete that, play with that. See, I'm getting rid of this extra glow so that eventually I can get back to the reset of the first frame, where the sun's going to just get stronger and stronger, and he's going to melt. And the setting's going to melt. The character will disappear, and then it will get kind of blazingly bright, and then it will shift into the beginning scene, which pulls back. So the glacier, it's tempting to start deleting things from your assets, and I can, because this is a copy asset layer. But it's still working pretty well. More and more dramatic with the melting. And soon I'm going to have to start dealing with this background too. I can always check it with my stage. Okay, that's what I had before. That's what I have now. It's almost fully revealed now. And now let's go to that midground. Copy, and I'll be safe and make another copy of it. And now this I want to start puppet warping as well. There's a lot of it. Maybe I don't want to start puppet warping. That's the glacier under the water. It's kind of cool. So I can start to show that. Oh, that might be too extreme. What do you think? Maybe a little too extreme. I'll take it slower. So I'm just going to put anchors on this top ridge and then at the bottom. I have to do them on the bottom somewhat, otherwise the whole thing will just shift down. So just that much. Yeah, that looks more believable. Okay. And maybe, ooh, this is a nice technique. So maybe I crossfade it. So I take the new copy I made of that background, and I'm going to put it at a resolution or at an opacity of only about 25. And on the next one, I'll keep increasing that opacity. All right, now I got to move him. Now, if you fetishize kind of each panel and really making it smooth, it's going to just take a long time. Again, and it's going to keep shifting his head back a little bit and keep shifting his body back a little bit towards the edge. There we go. Hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible, select all, copy all, paste all. Deselect, delete. Let's take this down almost all the way now, but the sun's getting brighter.